Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Today I wanted to talk about Cloud Imperium Games' plans for Star Citizen in the way that they do concepts and a move away from them to have more ships straight to flyable. And this obviously changes the dynamics of their monetization potentially. We'll briefly summarise how the process sort of works at the moment, potential monetization options for them, and what their plans are for the future. The current process and funding model for Star Citizen is massively reliable on ship sales. In fact, it's its primary, at the moment at least, way of making money. That might change when Squadron 42 has been released. Maybe they will make a lot of game sales. I think that's the hope. And a huge portion of those ship sales are ideas and plans for ships known as concept sales. The role, intention, and basics of the ship will be planned out, the internals will be roughly blocked out, the look of the ship will be represented at least in some form of 2D art. This process has got a lot more refined and been done much more thoroughly over the years now, so earlier concepted ships had to be reworked and reconcepted as they were not built correctly to the metrics or didn't meet the needs of the game or role that they originally had intended for them. Now they're much more able to fully build out a ship and do its internals and that sort of jazz before declaring a ship's size and showing it off for concept, which is why we saw ships like the Orion planned earlier on doubled in size, as well as the Idris grow into a frigate. But now we see things like a full trailer for the Kraken, the light carrier, which actually got some of its externals done, at least in rough, and built out for videos and to be displayed in game. Even when it was in the concept phase, the process is just significantly quicker and they're able to do stuff a lot more easily, and they appear that they are building stuff out a lot more. So these ships or vehicles go on sale at the earliest possible stage with perks for players that buy them at that early stage. They may be cheaper than when a vehicle is flyable in-game. You might be able to get perks like lifetime insurance, although we're not entirely sure exactly how lifetime insurance is going to affect the value of the ship or whatever in the future. Also, there's flare items and that sort of stuff. Eventually, all of these get added to the game, and you'll be able to buy them in-game with in-game money. But that early adopter sort of like, you can get this at the most earliest possible stage, there might be effectively discounts and that sort of stuff, is very appealing to a lot of backers, and that makes a lot of money. In fact, in 3.6, they've added a ship purchase kiosk, which will allow access to purchase many more ships in Star Citizen than have previously been available just at Teach's Ship Shop and Astra Armada, where there's only just one, and obviously on Hurston in Lawville, the New Deal ship shop there. There's also a more affordable option coming in a 3.6.x patch a little bit later, allowing for ships to be rented in the persistent universe as well. So that's lots of access for people that don't want to massively grind stuff. Obviously, there's no true persistence yet, so there are resets every 3 months, so renting's a great idea. The idea of these concept sales, though, is to fund the continued development of Star Citizen and Squadron 42, as well as providing access to those ships at the earliest possible stage and minor perks for players that purchase them. I suppose it also goes into they will make more concept ships, or they will make more ships in the game based on people that keep on spending money for those. If there was no money in it, they wouldn't do it. There are problems with concept sales and their process, though. They take time to get that vehicle or ship in the game. This can actually take years based on the mechanics needed and their sort of like reprioritization of things. Stuff in the roadmap keeps on getting reprioritized and changed around, so that can have a ship that's been waiting for years and years and years, still be waiting more years before it gets in the game. The intention of a vehicle can also change and cause annoyance from the backers that don't like those changes. Now, admittedly, that's going to happen a lot less with their more sort of like streamlined processes for doing concept sales. They are a lot more thorough, but previously there's certainly changes in intentions of vehicles. People have different visions of how a vehicle or ship should work, how it's going to perform, how it's going to be utilized, how its mechanics are going to work. That, again, causes a bit of annoyance when it doesn't happen to work in the way that they wanted. And a lot of the time, it can be a split community, with a lot of people liking it, a lot of people not liking it. The game does not have the mechanics to support some ships as well when they come into the game. So this can cause ships to come out with extremely limited functions. For example, the Reclaimer. The Reclaimer is a big salvage ship. Salvage mechanics aren't in game yet. The core mechanics are still also being put in game. Balance, flight model, physicalized components, gameplay mechanics also. Because of that, you'll only see sometimes like a single ship be able to use a mechanic, even though a mechanic's really fleshed out. The prospector and mining are a prime example of that. This also makes the game look like it's gated by real money. You have to purchase one of these ships before you can actually use these mechanics at the moment. Anyway, obviously it's in alpha. We're all aware of that. And even though the prospector is available in-game to purchase it with in-game money, it still looks a bit greedy, or some people might not know that, or people will still say it's locked and barred. In more general terms, anything that's like a ship sale or anything that gives you a sort of like advantage in any way, shape or form, even if it's just a time advantage, whatever, will be seen as pay to win. So that also sort of needs to be considered. Now, straight to flyable. We have been seeing various ships go straight to flyable. Last year being the Valkyrie dropship and the Arrow Light Fighter, both very developed, cool ships that work in the game. And in fact, in 3.6, the Valkyrie is going to be getting the addition of being able to take cargo. And that's a good example of Star Citizen's constant evolution and iteration, even with finished ships. And obviously people were like, why can't it carry cargo? That doesn't really make any sense. It's got a huge sort of like effective cargo bay that can only carry a vehicle and troops in. No, give us a cargo bay. And lots of people asked, and they went, well, we'll give it a limited amount of cargo in that area. So, I mean, that's for something that's not even in concept anymore. That was a straight to flyable ship, and they still changed it. Recently, Chris Roberts announced a longer-term goal of straight to flyable and moving away from concepts.
Yes or no answer is acceptable here, John. No. There are things not on the roadmap for vehicles and ships.
Absolutely, yeah. As we
you can give as many details as you want to give us. That's safe that can be said in here.
As we did last year with the Valkyrie and Arrow, our first two ships that went from concept straight through the pipeline. The Valkyrie people didn't know about until they walked through the doors at CitizenCon and saw it plastered on the walls. Like,
what's that ship?
What's that ship?
Yeah, that's
and then they saw it in the demo. Almost certainly would be more things like that.
Beautiful, that's great.
Our long-term goal is to sort of move towards more straight to playable the stuff if we can. I mean, obviously we don't have, our vehicle team is decent size, but it's not enough to get everything done. So we're still going to have a balance of some stuff that's sort of a bit more longer term, and then some stuff that would be playable. But as we move forward and as we get the vehicle team staffed up a bit more, our plan is to shift to basically, nope, here's the new ship. You can play it in the game right now.
So, summarising that, there are vehicles and ships not on the roadmap that will then go on sale and will be available in the game over the next few quarters. There is a long-term goal to move towards more straight-to-playable or flyable ships and vehicles. They will have a mixture of concepts and straight-to-flyable ships and vehicles in the mid-term. There are limitations due to staff that are able to work on ships and vehicles, though they are recruiting more devs for the vehicle team. One of the other things, I suppose, is that we're likely to see those straight-to-flyable, straight-to-drivable vehicles, straight-to-in-game vehicles during those major quarterly patches, so every 3 months or so. Although, potentially, they could have a 3.x.x patch, that's a minor patch that also allows for a drivable or flyable ship. Straight to flyable does not exclude sales, though. This change does not mean they will necessarily, and I suspect that they will be mad to, stop selling ships for money. In fact, I actually think they will potentially make more monies as players are more able to immediately use their purchases and then will be more comfortable buying, that sort of thing. One of the reasons as well they might be moving away from concepts is because of the new manufacturer point of purchase ship customizer on the website. So CIG recently released a new customization system for the 300 series of ships that allows you to customize a ship at time of purchase with different paint jobs inside and out. Flare items, different cockpit items, as well as weapons and equipment, changes and loadouts, all for real money. Now, some of those color changes, a couple of the other bits and bobs are free. You can just sort of like change them up, but there's a lot of options that are basically upselling the cost of ships and a mixture of microtransactions and a lot more than microtransactions. Eventually, there will also be all of this available in game 2, and there will be much more in-depth aftermarket customization, which will be available in-game, allowing you to change a lot more, not just at point of purchase of the ship, but they're constantly going to be adding more and more features to this point of purchase customization system, adding more ships to it, adding more items that you can purchase. and they're going to be rolling that out in sort of like steps. But as part of the evolving ship pipeline, it does potentially make sense for, as the ships become flyable, as they go straight to playable in game, that this form of customization in the future will just be added to that pipeline process, and they'll go, well, this is after we've got the ship ready and flyable in game, we make it ready for customization before releasing it in game, and then we have a sale for it. That's the sort of thing I'm thinking CIG will be doing. It just makes them more money. Also, with modular ships and large room changes, that can actually really push up prices for backers, with disposable income to splash out on those ships, change their roles, that sort of stuff. Modularity for Star Citizen is incredibly hype. Another reason they may be moving towards a straight-to-flyable and drivable, rideable model is because they may have lots of ships and vehicles ready or near ready that they want to release to the persistent universe in steps already, or sort of like have a schedule that's sort of like, well, in 3 years' time or 2 years' time, we're definitely going to be in a state where we can just constantly release all our plans straight to flyable, because it sort of like stacks up on their schedule like that. So there are a lot of vehicles for Squadron 42, for the Vandal, for the UEE, that are not yet in the persistent universe and have yet to be sold properly. So this is the Spider Miner, the F-7C Lightning, some loads of military ships, in fact, the Titan exosuits, even the big boy Bengal supercarrier, though I don't think we will see any of the capital ships, or at least the big capital ships, go on sale on the ship customizer, and certainly not the huge ones go on sale at all, at least not outside of the game. So getting a Bengal might be amazing, but maybe that's a 2-year project for an org or something. Also, there's probably a load of ships and vehicles that are not shown on that roadmap that are coming with Squadron 42 as well, some of which I suspect, or most of which, are finished now or getting close to being finished. We are going to still see concept ships for the foreseeable future and sales for them, but we are likely to start to see more and more straight to flyable in-game ships and vehicles from now on, until they potentially entirely phase out concept sales and that process of the concept ship and vehicle. And this is something I'm not entirely keen on. I really like seeing the development process at the earliest possible stage. The conversations and discussions around concept ships and their mechanics can be interesting, community building, and help the devs evolve those ships and mechanics. And obviously balance can come from that as well. They can talk about stuff, they can judge how many people wanted those particular ships. The process actually looks like that we're getting less, really. They are obscuring those phases from us if they just make them straight to flyable and drivable. That might be partly due to criticisms that CIG get from selling JPEGs and people being annoyed that their ship isn't in-game yet. This new method would potentially avoid those criticisms. Another thing, CIG have yet to confirm their monetization model for the future and after release of the game, beyond that they will consider sensible options based on their needs. They will basically consider anything, as the way I understand it from talking to Aaron in an interview I had with him last year. At that time, there was the suggestion, expectation, or hope that they could monetize Star Citizen, the Persistent Universe, for the future beyond what they already are when the game goes live, by selling game packages and a limited amount of in-game currency as their sort of like main options, and potentially stop selling ships. Though I suspect at the very least there will be a continuation of voluntary subscriptions, merchandise, maybe flare items, and they could very well sell new straight-to-flyable ships and vehicles with customizations from the ship customizer as well, even after the game goes live, allowing players to get them at the earliest possible stage in the way that Warframe does with new Warframes. Just a thought, though. That's not a confirmation. That's just an expectation when it comes to them still selling ships afterwards. I don't see why they'd cut out a monetization source, though we don't know the actual future strategy until they do it, until they talk about it, until they confirm it. But what do you think? Do you think moving away from concepts and concept sales to straight to flyable is a good thing? Or do you think obscuring some of that process is a bad thing? Or do you think that just means that their ships and pipelines are going to be a lot more efficient? And do you think it's going to be just better for the game, better for the community? Do you think that they will still have successful sales with straight-to-flyable things? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For June, we have an Origin 890 Jump, the massive luxury ship that is a huge sort of like capital luxury ship. It's been donated by Odyssey Interstellar, a friendly industrial expansionist organization in Star Citizen that focus on mining, trading, industry, exploration, research, and infrastructure. In short, commerce is their goal. They run regular weekly events in-game now. Please check them out if you are looking for an org to join. Links down below. There are a couple of services I shill for as well that you might find useful. If you're looking for a VPN, then check out NordVPN. I use it for security, privacy, and more. It has massive advantages over free VPNs. And if you use the code BoredGamer, you get up to 75% off your subscription. Boom! Also, there is Shadow Cloud Gaming. This is an alternative to having your own or upgrading your gaming rig on PC. It leverages the power of the internet and your own Shadow server that emulates a high-spec Windows 10 PC, so you can play up to 144Hz 4K anywhere with an old PC, laptop, smartphone, or even tablet. Freedom to play anywhere. The internet is good enough anyway, and it works really well with Star Citizen and all the games that I play, and is constantly updated and even improved with new hardware. Again, use the code BoredGamer for discount. Links below to all of that jazz. Thank you to all that support the channel through Patreon, the YouTube join button, donation, subscribe star, as well as anyone that just generally subscribes, likes, comments, and shares my content. Dings that bell, ding ding. If you feel so inclined, you can find links to all of that down below. A special thank you though to my VIP producers this month: Dalamars, Catastros, Raz, Gear Khan, General Ventador, Robert Johnson, and Andy Green, who have given well beyond the norm in support for the channel. I know a load of other people have, but I can't name them all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.